Welcome to another edition of the Ratitude Podcast. I am so excited. I start that way with each of these podcasts, but this is doubly exciting because our guest here, Margitt Royce, she has done the Camino de Santiago at least a couple times. And I am interested in doing it. And we were going to have just a Zoom call for her to give me some tips and advices on how to do this. And I thought, this would be a great podcast if we just record that conversation. Then not only am I benefiting, but everyone that's listening out there, you can join the Camino de Santiago. So I'm really excited to welcome Margitt here. We met at a Dr. Joe walking meditation in Naples here. She's in Detroit. I think she's one of those snowbird kind of people. And we kind of have stayed in touch a little bit. And I knew that she did the Camino. And so I wanted to talk to her about that. And so welcome, Margitt Royce, to the Ratitude Podcast.
Oh, Robert, I'm so excited to be here and to talk about the Camino. It's something that I wanted to do for a very long time. I heard about it probably almost 20 years ago. And at the time, it was like something I would do out there, and the time I was running out of excuses. I did it once, and I did it with my daughter, and it was life-changing. But I really wanted to do it by myself. That was like the original plan, and I couldn't say no to a 22-year-old young woman that wants to spend 6 weeks with her mother. So I did it again this past fall, but I did half of it. And it was still life-changing. Yeah.
Yeah. So for those that don't even know what this is, because as I was telling people about my excitement to talk with you, at least half the people said, well, what is that? And so could you tell our audience what the Camino de Santiago actually is?
Yes, because I had a friend that said, you're probably going to walk that one day. Like, I can see you walking this Camino de Santiago. And I had no idea what it was. And I had to Google it, and I was like, oh yeah. So it's an ancient pilgrimage across Spain. And if you look at the map of Europe, there's many trails that lead to Santiago de Compostela, which is a city on the, if I look at my map, the west side of Spain, so on the water. They're coming from the Czech Republic, Switzerland, Rome. I mean, all of these places are, from England, Scotland. So they all are like veins that go into this one city. And it was a pilgrimage of the ones that wanted to find themselves. And I believe it's more ancient than Christianity. It does follow Christianity. It's the way of St. James, and it's the path of forgiveness and the Catholicism. That's the pilgrimage that the Catholics would take. But I believe it's more ancient than that. They found the oldest man in Europe along that trail. And it follows the Milky Way. If you look at the trail and the way it goes, it mirrors the Milky Way. So there's just a lot more than I think than we're being told. But it is a walk, a pilgrimage across Spain. And there's a lot of magic when you're by yourself, walking to the rhythm of your own beat and getting to explore all of those inner places within yourself that you finally have the time to explore.
Yeah. So I know when I've looked at the map, there's a lot of starting points. There's actually a lot of ending points. You can go into Portugal, do a Portuguese route. Which route did you do the first time with your daughter? And did you do the same route? Well, I guess you didn't, because you said you did half of it. Tell us about your path.
Well, I went the French way. That's like the most famous way, where you start in France, go over the Pyrenees and across Spain to Santiago. And then my body is my teacher. So I had, after 250 miles, I didn't know that you needed new shoes. I never really was a runner or anything. So your treads are kind of, you're feeling every pebble after about 200 miles. So I got new shoes, and I ended up getting really bad shin splints halfway. So I started in Lyon the second time, because that's where I had gotten sick. And I really wanted to be more mentally there, because when you're in pain, you're very narrow focused. And so I started in Lyon, and that was and I took a longer time than walking with a 22-year-old. So I really just took my time by myself. And it was a completely different experience.
Did you go 500 miles? Did you go 250 miles? How far did you go?
Yeah, 500 miles the first time. And then I think it was like 238 miles the second time. The second time it took me a really long time, like 3 weeks, but I knew where I wanted to rest. The first time I did not rest. So anyone that is walking the Camino, I suggest that you really plan out some rest days, because when you're walking that long of a distance, it's really trying on your feet. And so I knew that I needed a lot more rest days in between. And there's a lot of different people that are talking about that. So I knew where I wanted to rest because I had done it before. So
Yeah.
cities, the ones where you get pizza or something besides, the local cuisine.
So the first time you decided to do it, you were going with your daughter. Did she organize it? Did you organize it? Did the two of you work together? Did you use a company or did you just go?
Well, the first time I knew we were going to go in May, we were going to start on Mother's Day. That was what she wanted to do. And after weeks of just feeling really paralyzed and overwhelmed with the amount of accommodations that I had to look at and the map, and we ended up going with Camino Ways. And it was just like a no-brainer. You plug it in, they do everything for you. Your accommodations, the map, there's an app. If you need, let's say you need to talk to someone in Spanish, like you can dial Camino Ways and they can have a conversation for you. And so it was very easy. I felt like that's what I needed at that time, just to really relax. Plus I was with my daughter, so I had that, responsibility. And I just felt like that was just an easy way to get there. And it would have taken me a lot longer to really plan that all out. And I knew it was busy season. You're going to hear it over and over again. The numbers are just increasing and increasing because the awareness, I believe, of, shows like this, Robert, and social media, and people are having just amazing experiences. People are searching. And so it's become really, really popular. So, if you're not booking in that May, June, July kind of ahead of time, then you maybe staying, people are sleeping on benches sometimes because there's no room and they're just too tired to make it to the next city, which there might be nothing there. So there's a lot of apps like booking.com, the Wise Pilgrim app, where you can know like what different accommodations are available. And they're anywhere from like hostels where you just show up and you get a bed for a donation, or you can stay in toward the end of the trail is more like really high-end accommodations where there's spas and, vineyards. And so, it depends on what kind of experience that you really want to have.
Okay. So you said it was Camino Ways,
Camino,
Ways?
Yes. And that is the one that I had read a memoir, and she had went through Camino Ways. So it was kind of like familiar. I just need to get in there and do it. So I just knew it, and I didn't really do a lot of shopping, but there's many, many businesses that accommodate this now. Because I said it's really popular. Like you can even go with the tour if you wanted and walk with the same people, and a bus will follow you. It's just there's really no excuses that you can't walk that far, because there's a lot of ways that you could do it.
So, and you had a good experience with Camino Ways.
I did. And there's people from around the world that actually booked with Camino Ways. So you would see the same people, and then we're like, wow, did you go through Camino? And we would stay at the same accommodations. And the beautiful part of that is you start developing this family. And you just know that they're going to be at the next accommodation. You're going to have breakfast with them. And it's just like, you don't really know what they do for a living or where they, you might know they're from South Africa or from Arizona or Australia. You just know these people on such intimate levels, just heart to heart, just like a Dr. Joe retreat. It's like, It's just this heart to heart that you are family. And, So when I did it on my own, I didn't really see the same people. And plus I went when it was a really slow season. So it was toward the end. So I went in November. So I would be like the last pilgrim that they would see until the springtime. And there would be maybe one or two of us in the whole entire village. And so it was a completely different experience. Didn't have that family, but that's not what I was looking for. I'd already experienced it. And I really had to use, just be like after 3 days of not talking to people, I'd be like, wow, I really want to talk to somebody right now. And then the next day, 8 hours, I would be able to walk with and have just an amazing experience. So the Camino always provides, and that's what they say. All the pilgrims know this. So if you need a Band-Aid or someone to talk to or whatever, the Camino surprisingly will show up and provide that for you.
The second time, did you use Camino Ways also?
No, I did it by myself. I had already, I really wanted that freedom of just like, how do I feel today? Checking in with myself. How many miles do I want to walk? And doing that. So every afternoon when I would get to the place, I would be able to check in with myself. And I just really wanted that freedom. And by going in the slow season, you can have that freedom. In November, a lot of things are starting to shut down. So you might not have as many accommodations available, but they're still available. Yeah, I really wanted to listen to myself and trust myself. Plus, I was already kind of familiar with the towns and how it went. So I had more confidence in that way. Some people just show up and just start walking, and the Camino will provide for them. I just wanted something a little bit more comforting the first time.
And would you recommend that for people that are going first time?
Yeah, I would, especially if they just want to show up. You just want to show up with your backpack and just like have everything taken care of and just go for it. Definitely. They took care of everything. If you are more adventurous or you're a backpacker and you just, you're very comfortable being in the open wild and don't care if you're staying in a bed or a bench like that, that's fine too. I just know for myself personally and where I am in my life, I don't sleep very well. So I'm a very light sleeper. And at the end of the day of walking, 15 miles or so, I really wanted a hot shower and a door that I can just shut down and sleep. Because you'll hear about, when you're sleeping with 20 people, 8 people, 50 people, there's a lot of noises going on all night long. And I've already played that game, and I'm just a little bit older in my life, and I just don't need that experience. I didn't want that experience. But I have to tell you, there is a different side that I didn't get to experience because they know each other, those pilgrims that do sleep in those big rooms or with, 4 or 5, strangers. There is an intimacy that I will never I didn't experience. And it is literally like a brotherhood. They bond very quickly, very intimately. So there's this other side that I didn't get to experience, but I was able to observe. Like that would be really interesting. But I know myself, I need a hot shower and a good night's sleep. And so that was more important to me.
And how did you feel about your safety, and how did your husband feel about you going on your own?
Well, I do travel by myself a bit. This isn't my first rodeo to be doing something crazy, going to check out some ancient land. And so, but he was worried about us going for 5 weeks. So he was the one who really encouraged Camino Ways. I felt completely safe. I never felt, even when I got lost a few times, I always felt safe. I always had trust that it will provide for what I needed. And if you go online, there might be stories of this and that, but I really did not hear any of those. I just hear them online. And I do love the online, like the Facebook pages and stuff where you can find out what to pack and what kind of shoes. But there's also a lot of drama. And so what might not be intimidating to me might be just horrific to somebody else. So you just kind of judge that. But I personally, I found if I needed directions, if I was alone, because I would get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and in November, it's dark. There's nothing. And when you're on a trail, there's no light except, my headlight. And I felt perfectly safe. And I just knew that I was going to be okay.
What was your kind of like daily routine? You said in November you got up at 6. Let's say the other time when you went in May, what time did you get up? What time did you walk? When did you rest? Kind of how many miles did you do a day? How did that work?
Yeah, the first time, the Camino Ways kind of planned it out, but we would walk like 6-7 hours a day, like 24K. was probably 22 to 24K was our average. That's a lot. I did a lot of I did more training around that because that's a lot. And they carried my bag. So I didn't have to carry the 10, 12 pounds on my back. That was another thing that I learned from the memoir. Like those days are over for me too. I had a transfer team that would take the bag, and most people do. The young people don't, but there's also a freedom to that where you're carrying your bag, where you can just stay wherever you want to. So that was our day. We would get up, we would have breakfast, we start walking, and the sun doesn't really the sun rises and sets very late in Spain in the summertime, and it vice versa in November. But yeah, walking, getting a coffee or rest around 9:30, 10, having a lunch, probably getting into the town between anywhere from 2 to 4, and then you're resting, but you still have chores to do. You still have to wash your socks and wash your clothes and prepare for the next day. Like how many miles? What time am I going to get up? I always looked at the elevation. If I'm going uphill for a couple hours, it's going to take me longer. I'm not a fast walker, especially going uphill. So, kind of preparing for the next day, what it kind of looks like, doing your laundry, and then having dinner. And, dinner in Spain is 7 o'clock or later, 8 o'clock some places. So sometimes I would rather sleep than converse. The first time, I have to tell you, I probably gained 6 to 8 pounds because I kept drinking tons of wine and bread, because it's very carby meals. They're called pilgrim meals, and you can get these meals. They're all made by the people that own the guest houses or the hostels, and they're made with love. But there's a lot of bread, pasta, and wine. So, and lots of cakes and all that kind of. So you think that, I'm going to walk this off, but it didn't. And I think it's really common for women, because I thought I was the only one, but it is more common. So the second time I made sure I really didn't indulge.
This is my idea. I'm not sure if it's a smart idea or not. I was thinking I was going to run it. Did you see people running it?
I did. I did see the first time. Not the second time. I didn't really see a lot of pilgrims. But yeah, bikers, there's runners, there's horses on some parts of the trail. I saw Frenchmen carrying like wagons with all their tents and stuff in it. You'll see all sorts of people doing their way.
Yeah, I'm just kind of getting all excited about this, thinking like, how am I going to do it? I'm going to do it on my own. I'm going to do this. Okay, so the first time when you went with your daughter, did you guys talk along the way, or were you in your own zone processing your own internal things?
Yeah, it's kind of, I didn't walk as fast as her. We're kind of have our own experience. And it was just kind of like a dance, you just would know.
Oh, so you weren't with her the whole time you're walking. She went ahead faster and
yeah, so she would have conversations with different people. She was younger. I would say they say the average age is in the 60s on the Camino. So, a 22-year-old everybody wants to talk to them and share their wisdom. So there was a lot of people that wanted to talk with her. And you just you're having your own Camino, and it just kind of works like that. The first part of the Camino, they say, is very physical. Like there's 3 parts: the physical part, the mental part, and the spiritual part. So the physical part is just your body getting into that rhythm, and it's going to buck, and it's going to hurt, and you just keep going. And I think every pilgrim is just like, what am I doing? I'm paying for this experience. Like, this doesn't even make sense. Why am I doing this? This is stupid. And then you have these head games, you're missing such frivolous things in your life because you just have everything in your backpack. And I was missing a pillow and my curling iron. It was just like a head game. And then the mental part is in the middle. And then by the spiritual part, Ella and I had already, done our, because we were moving into a new relationship as women. And so there was a lot of this back and forth and, getting mad at each other that we're playing different games now. And so toward the end, we were together all the time because we knew that this was coming to the end, and it was just so sweet. And we just wanted to savor every moment. So that was our experience. It's just so sweet at the end. Like you've been on the trail for 3 weeks or 4 weeks or whatever, and and all the people that you would see along the way. It's just such a celebration. It's just beautiful. It's humanity at its best, just all the love, even though you got like another 4 days or 3 days to walk. It's just all a celebration.
So where did you fly into to start this?
We flew into Madrid, and then you could take a bus or a train to Pamplona or to France. When you say you're on the Camino, like, I think, the universe is playing with you already. Like, there's a lot of tests that you're going to be thrown at you. So both times my planes were delayed, or one was canceled, and it is all the plans just kind of are just like thrown up in the air. And it's like, are you going to react to that, or are you just going to go on the Camino and just find your way, And so it's like that. But we found it. We ended up we had trains, but we ended up just getting on a small plane to get there on time. And then the next day we get into the hotel at like 11 o'clock at night. And it's like the next day you got to start walking, because if you're with Camino Ways, your next town, you got to start walking. Mm-hmm. So it was just like pouring rain. And it's like, I just got tested over both Caminos, pouring rain on the first day. And they were both just so much fun. Like, even though you got mud up to your knees and you're just drenched, and it's like everybody's doing it. And it's kind of like, I don't know, it just becomes fun after a while. We just start laughing at each other because it's just so ridiculous.
and then when you ended, do you end in Santiago?
Yeah. And
then where do you fly out of to come home?
I flew out of Santiago.
Oh, there's an airport there.
Yep, there's an airport there, or a lot of people will take a train, or I think from Santiago we go back to Madrid, and then Madrid back into the States. Or you can take that to London or some bigger airport, or you can take a train. But what I am understanding is the prices are kind of the same between the train and flying, and it's like I would rather just spend $30 more and just get there sooner. But a lot of people take trains too, or buses to get to Madrid.
Along the way, did you have your cell phone? Are you in communication with the world, or I'm guessing your husband? And or is it kind of like you have a rule that I'm not going to do this because I'm on this spiritual pilgrimage?
Yeah, both. I would turn the phone off. There is a great little map that I would recommend. It's a Michelin map. It's rectangle. I wish I had it here to show you. It's a paper map. It's a Michelin. It's in different languages, and it'll show like elevation and the towns and what they provide, if there's like a hospital or restaurant or, hotels, hostels. And so I tried to just keep that and just follow that. But the pilgrims are communicating through WhatsApp. So if you are wanting to meet them for dinner, or you want to share pictures that they took along the way and things like that, how they communicate, you're going to have your cell phone. And, maybe I just want to look at what restaurants are available or whatever. So I would use that, calling my family through WhatsApp. But like during the day, I tried to keep it off. I think I used it probably in the beginning more because I really wanted to know how many miles I had to walk and how long it would take me. Because it's just, you're just like, I can't. I like the last hour is always the longest. It feels like it doesn't matter how many hours you've walked, but man, when you're close, it seems forever. But then it gets better. So I think I used it probably more in the beginning, and then just continue to trust using the map toward the end. Because you just want to savor that moment. But yeah, cell phones, they do come in handy when you're trying to communicate with family at home and with each other.
And did you journal your experiences?
Yeah, I did. I journaled, and then when you come home, there's a thing called the Camino Blues. I think because you're so present for so long and you change so much that when you come home, things don't always make sense. Like not having my coffee with my people, or I'm not going to be able to, I'm not walking and watching the sunrise. I have to make a different effort to do that. And when you're on the Camino, it just happens every day. And so there's people talk about that it's kind of like this integration period. So I journaled every day, and then I waited 6 months and I went back to my journal and I started to type the whole thing out. It's amazing how your brain works, because like one little journal segment I could remember the whole day, and I was able to relive it and get the richness and the more of the teachings from that day. So sometimes you're so tired. A lot of the memoir that I read, she was so tired at the end of the day, she would just do voice notes. And then that's how she wrote the memoirs, just voice note after voice note. And it's amazing how you can remember things. And what I would do is I would look at my itinerary, my journal, my photos, and then maybe if I wanted to look at the hotel, I'm like, what did that room look like? I'd be able to Google it. And then all the memories would just come back. Like, oh, I remember that dinner with so-and-so, and we talked about this or whatever. It's amazing. It's so rich. And if I go back, I could probably relive that again. And I don't think there's a day that I have been living since then that I don't recall a person or a place or a memory or how I felt. Like that was my thing. Like when I came back from the Camino, there was this feeling that I had discovered on the Camino, and I didn't want it to go away. Like Dr. Joe Dispenza's like, he's rewiring it. So it was like every day I just went back to that feeling, this wholeness, this newness that I'm rediscovering. And I really took the time to really sit with that.
How do you think you changed in each one of them? You've mentioned that several times that you've changed. How did you change?
Well, the first time my children are adults and I was walking with my daughter. And so I feel like that relationship with my daughter went to the next level. It's like, we're no longer, do I have to feel so responsible for children in my life? And that takes a lot of work because I had to rewire that one. I feel like I've been taking care of people my whole life. And so finding that part of myself that I don't need to be mothering people anymore. So that was a huge awakening in me. And the second time where I just kind of like trusted myself where I wanted to stay and how many miles did I want to walk, it really brought a responsibility for myself that I probably haven't had in a really long time. Like next level. It's hard to explain, but really having a hard look at, my life and how I'm responsible for all of it. And if I want to move forward, what does that look like? So the little things that taking responsibility of how I would pack, where am I going? Did I get it's like those little things added up to bigger things in my life. And having to, in the second time, it was 2024 was a really hard year for me. Personally, just having to let a lot of things go and a lot of people in my life, especially my son, I had to really not be so attached to outcomes. And it was really horrific. He really had a really hard year, but I had to just like kind of stay away from that. And just letting that piece of me go, that mothering piece. And then in the end, you're like, well, who the hell am I if I'm not that? I mean, I've been identified with that for like over 25 years. And so really having those really deep conversations with myself. And that was really big. And I think I'm not going to speak for my daughter, but one thing that she said was like, wow, you're really just a woman. Like, she put me on a pedestal as being this mother, like, I know everything. And she's like, wow, you don't really know everything, and she was be really pissed off at me because how could you do that to me? Like, are you supposed to have it all together? And I just couldn't. I mean, I was so physically ill that she had to like figure it out on her own. And that was the dance we played. So yeah. So it's, everybody walks away with maybe, and the strength that I have, like the strength that is, because I probably a weekend, I was like, I think I'm done. Like I don't know if I could do this, the blisters, the exhaustion, the having to look at my shit every day. It was just like, I don't know if I want to do this. But then I just kept going on and going on. And I think it was like day 10. I was walking with this man from Ohio, and it was like one of the first most magical days I had on the Camino. And our lives were so similar. We even had sons that are like, were the biggest pain in our asses, that were both named David. And it was just like, we were just humans just trying to figure it out. And I just felt like I had a companion in this game. And not that I don't have support at home, but just be stripped of it all and see it. And then we ended up going to this really ancient church that was just in ruins. It had had a fire, and oh, it was just magical. It was magical. And then we met like all these people and took pictures and shared snacks, and it was like a party. And I thought, okay, I can do this. I can do this. It's paying off.
When you got back home, did it change your relationship with your husband? And if so, how?
Well, he met me. I went to Germany, and I had a friend I was visiting after that, and he met me there, and he was just curious. Like, I think it's like I'm becoming that 24-year-old again that he met a long time ago, before all of the real life started. And he's loving that part of me that's coming through, the one that trusts, the funny one, the silly one, and not being so serious. And so it's been really fun. And he's been so proud of us. And yeah, so it's been really fun. And I think this is the only way I would want to be in a relationship, is where we're constantly learning about each other and constantly learning about ourselves. So then when you're changing, the relationship's going to have to change. And then there's the next level. And it's like kind of like this in our relationship, and so wasn't always that way, but now it's really fun, and especially as we're getting older. And so when I was doing it the second time, I can tell he was just waiting for me to invite him. And I really struggled, because I really wanted it to be my Camino. And so then I said, well, what if he met me in Saria? Like, I would have to really stay in my lane. Like, it's going to be my Camino, and it's going to be testing. And so he joined me in Saria. And
Is that along the way?
Yeah, it's like if you start in Saria, there's like 100K. So if you get 100K, you can get your Compostela, which is your certificate that you finished it. So he met me in Saria. But we already had conversations like, this is still my Camino. And what is this going to look like? Like, you're going to have your Camino. I'm going to have my Camino. We don't need to eat dinner together. We need to have coffee together. Like, let's just see how this works. But I really had to stay in my lane. And that just, I think, is part of this relationship that we have. It's like, how can I be an individual in a partnership without losing myself? And so we had a great time. It was so much fun. Yeah, it was, because he's a faster walker than I am too. So, and I think he struggled with that too. Like, I want to keep walking. And is she going to feel bad if I'm still here? And I think so. If you are walking with someone, there is definitely going to be challenges, because that's part of it. Of the growth is that uncomfortable, but yeah, it changed his life, and we want to do it again. We just don't know where and how, because I wouldn't even go to a Dr. Joe event with him, because it's like, I want to have my own experience, and I want him to have his own experience. So now we're in this kind of thing where it's like, okay, I can be me whole, and he can be whole, and it's fun. It's really fun.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to ask. Are you going to do it again? And are you planning on another one?
Well, in 2023, I was like a pilgrim, like all year. I did the Camino, and then I went to Egypt, and I was just kind of blasted. And then I did it again. I feel this year, no, but I do want to do the English way. I love the part of Spain. They all have different flavors. Like, there's the where they're making wine, and I love the end part. It has a very Celtic flair to it. You'll see a lot of symbols of the Celts that come from Scotland and England, and that really calls to me. So I feel like I want to do the English way, where you start in the north and you come down. That is definitely on my bucket list. If it's not going to be this year, I don't feel, but it will be. I want to continue to walk, and I've already inspired 3 people that have walked last year, and there's 2 more that are going to be doing it this year. And these are people that seen my journey. I don't really put a lot on Facebook, and would have seen that, and it'd be like, can I have a Zoom call? I'm really interested in it. And they're doing their Camino, like they're doing it their way. And that's what I love about it. And I think there's a lot more respect now about it on the Camino. I mean, they call us like little backpacks if we're doing the Camino, they're taking their bags, because, the pilgrims got to have the big bag, and, they got to but, I think we carry a lot in our lives already. And so there's a more respect, like, just do it your way. Just do your way. You'll see people in wheelchairs. You'll see toward the end, and you'll see very elderly people with their family, like, walking with them, and everybody is just doing it their way, and everybody's so happy, like giving them high fives. And it's like, dude, you're out here, you're doing it. And it's great.
Well, Margie, I think that once this podcast airs, you will have inspired more people to do the Camino. So thank you for that. Are there any last words, either of advice or of insight or of anything that you want to share before we wrap things up?
Yeah, I do. I feel like if you are being called to the Camino, I don't think everybody is called there. Some people are more curious, but if there's a calling to go, you've got to go. There is just some magic on there. And maybe it's just the person that you have to meet, or, sleeping in this certain hostel or whatever it is for you. It's a calling. And I feel that you got to go. You just got to go. You got to do it. And the way that you want to do it. I have a friend that's doing it for the second time, and her husband wanted her to go where, it was Camino ways. She was, I was staying at like these 5-star hotels, and I didn't feel like a pilgrim. It's not the Camino I wanted. And so now she's doing it again, and she's going to do it her way. So do it your way, like do it how you want to do it. And just go and take the time. And I hear, oh, well, how did you take, you take the time. It's like, life is so short, like just do it.
Well, thank you very much, Margitt. This has been really wonderful. I'm excited. I'm going to contact Camino Ways after we hang up here and start planning my own trip and try to figure out what my way is going to be. I so appreciate you being here on this podcast, and I look forward to hearing from lots of people that you've inspired them, and I'll certainly forward that on to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Robert, so much. It was so much fun.
Great. And so for the Ratitude podcast, go out there and see if this is a calling for you. And if it is, go do it.